Alright, hello everybody. Here's a quick video on adding and subtracting radicals. Let's see what we got. Alright, so you hopefully have watched the video on simplifying radicals at this point. Now let's do a little video on adding and subtracting radicals. Alright, so here we go. So negative 2 radical or negative 2 times the square root of 3, right? Either both mean the same thing, right? So I can read this as negative 2 radical 3 or negative 2 times the square root of 3 minus 3 times the square root of 27 plus 3 times the square root of 2, or again, I can say negative 2 radical 3 minus 3 radical 27 plus 3 radical 2. So I would think about radicals as something like, imagine I wrote negative 3x, negative 2x minus 3y plus 3z. Right, and I say this because I'm looking at this radical 3, it's not, it's different than this radical 27, that's different, and this radical 2, that's all different. So all the radicals are all different at this point. So if I have negative 2x minus 3y plus 3z, the question is, can I combine these? Are these like terms? And the answer is no. I can't do anything else, and that's as far as I can go. Alright, so as of right now, I can't do anything with these radicals. Before I say, okay, this is my final answer, let's just make sure I've simplified every radical completely. Alright, so negative 2 radical 3, there's nothing more I can do with the radical 3. It's simplified as much as I can. What about the negative 3 radical 27? Alright, so radical 27 can still be broken down as 9 times 3, which is 27. Right, and now the square root of 9 is 3, so I have my existing negative 3 outside. The square root of 9 is 3, so that's going to come out as a 3. And this square root is going to stay inside, so I can simplify as negative 9 radical 3. Alright, so my negative 3 radical 27 is the same, can be rewritten as negative 9 radical 3. And then finally the 3 radical 2, well, that's nothing much more I can do on that either. So that's pretty much simplified as well. So that's what I have. Now, if I just rewrite these, and I have negative 2 radical 3 coming from my first term, minus 9 radical 3, and then plus 3 radical 2. Well, now, if I'm looking at these two, I notice that this term has a radical 3, and this term has a radical 3. So those two terms are like terms. So I'm going to combine my use different color. I'm going to combine my negative 2 minus 9 here. Negative 2 minus 9 is negative 11, and bring over my radical 3, and then plus 3 radical 2. Right? And that will be my final answer. So if I want to compare this again, if this was negative 2x minus 9x plus 3z, well, negative 2x and 9x I can combine as negative 11x plus 3z. So kind of the same concept here, right? So it has to have the same variable in order to be considered like terms. Well, in this case, it has to have the same radical in order to be considered like terms, right? So the square root of 3 and the square root of 3 both have the same radical there. Right, so let's take a look at example number 2 here. All right, so again, 3 terms. We have negative root 24 plus root 6, or radical 6 plus 2 radical 54. Okay, so as of right now, there is no like terms. All the numbers underneath the radical are different, but before I'm convinced, let's simplify. So I'm going to simplify my 24. So it's negative radical. So what can I break down 24 into? 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, and I chose 4 and 6 because I know 4 has a perfect square root, and this can be rewritten as negative 2, right? Square root of 4 is 2, and square root of 6 I can't do anything else with. And even if I break it down, it's just going to be broken down to factors of 2 times 3, which can't be factored either way, again, either. So then, that term is done. Minus radical 6, so I'm going to put minus 1 radical 6 here, just to put the imaginary 1 there in front. And again, that can't be broken down, but now I already have like terms here, so that's good. And then 2 radical 54, so 2 times the square root of, what's 54? Well, factors of 54 are 9 times 6 is 54. Cool, so I already have a 2 out there, so plus 2 times square root of 9 is 3. Can't do anything else with that, so that stays inside there, and I have radical 6. So simplify this one more time. So I have 2 radical 6 minus 1 radical 6 plus 2 times 3, 6 radical 6. So they all have the radical 6 here. Awesome. So all I'm going to do is do negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3, and negative 3 plus 6 is 3 radical 6. That's my final answer. Next one. Got 2 more examples, 1 and 2. All right, and then so here we go. So similar example in this one. Maybe we'll skip this one and we'll add another one here. So the 6 is the same here. So this is negative 3 radical 6 plus 3 radical 6 minus 2, and then this one again breaks down to 9 times 6. So negative 3 radical 6 and positive 3 radical 6. These two are going to eliminate. This is going to turn into negative 2 times square root of 9 is 3 radical 6. So negative 6 radical 6. Alright, so we didn't skip that one, we just did it. We'll add another one on here. And let's see what we got in this one. So we got negative 3 radical 27 plus 2 radical 12 plus 2 radical 12. So I already have some common like terms here. But let's see if we can do anything with that radical 27. So radical 27, this is 9 times 3 is 27. So this turns into negative 3 is out here already. Square root of 9 is 3, and then radical 3. So that's negative 9 radical 3. Alright, and then this is, combine these two as plus 2 radical 12 plus 2 radical 12 is 4 radical 12. But be careful, because I always ask myself, can I simplify what's in the radical? And can you simplify what's in radical 12? And yeah. So 4 times 3 is radical 12. Right? 4 times 3 is 12, and the square root of 4 is possible. So I have plus 4 times, cross out the 4, brings out as a 2, right? Because the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 3 stays inside. So tricky here. So we got negative 9 radical 3 plus 8 radical 3, leaving me with a grand total of negative 1 radical 3. And again, you don't have to write the negative 1 there. You could just write negative radical 3 if you prefer. Alright, so we'll throw one more in here just because the other ones were very similar. So we have negative 2 radical 20 minus 2 radical 5 minus 3 radical 54. Alright, so let's see what we got here. So we got negative 2. Okay, so square root of 20, I obviously could break down to 2 times 10, but I'm going to stay away from 2 times 10. I'm going to use 4 times 5 instead. And the reason why, again, because I know 4 has a perfect square, so that's going to help me the most. So negative 2 is already out there. Cross out the 4, that comes out as a 2. And I'm going to multiply by the coefficient out there, ready. Square root of 5 stays, so I have negative 2 times radical 5. Right, this is all multiplication, so negative 2 times 2 times radical 5. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 times radical 5, or negative 4 radical 5, right? And then we have minus 2 radical 5. Well, there's nothing more going to do that with that one, so that's going to come down. So we got some like terms there already. And then minus 3 times the square root of 54, and again 9 times 6 is 54, and this comes out as negative 3, that comes out as a 3, and that's going to stay in there as a 6, and that's going to simplify as negative 3 times 3, which is 9 radical 6. Alright, and then of these, the only like terms are the first two, so negative 4 and negative 2 is a negative 6 radical 5 minus a 9 radical 6, and that would be my final answer. Alright, so adding and subtracting radicals, and you could definitely do these with variables as well, but look for another video on with variables if you like. Thanks.